Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show where we find out how to mechanize equity. I'm hoping for robots, but you never know. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Technological Thursday. Yes, we return once again to the wonderful world of off-brand TED Talks for enlightenment and education, where we discuss things and make fun of things or ponder things and then do bingo. Speaking of bingo, the bingo cards have been updated in time, not coincidentally enough, for the subject matter at hand. The square Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion has been revised to read DEI Philosophy, to better distinguish that we're not looking for the words exactly, but the sentiments behind that particular arrangement thereof. So get your bingo cards ready. It's bingo card B tonight. B as in Tesla. I know it doesn't make any sense. I probably should have made Boeing the B square. But anyway, B. B. Tesla was the winning assembly line from today's bingo poll. If you'd like to join in on the bingo poll, you can do so by following me on the X machine, and I have, after several years now, updated the little symbol at the bottom of the screen there from the bird to the X. It's time to get with the times. So follow me on X, scribe_light, to follow along with the bingo poll every Thursday, amongst all the other shenanigans I get up to on the X machine. But before we get into tonight's topic, who's joining me on this beautiful Thursday evening? Walter A. Sounds like trash. I mean, I live in a garbage can. Me and Oscar, so maybe that's why. Advocast Diabli, good evening. Who else is here? Adabisi, hello. The Alexander, hello. Adam Nixon, good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. Who else do we got? Keeverdam is here, everybody. And up at the top of the chat box, guys, Keeverdam has provided the link to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society donation page. Please, if you have the opportunity, take a look at that. And if you can donate, please do so. But even if you can't, if you can share that out on social media, that would be appreciated. So thank you ahead of time for your consideration there. And thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the link. Mike R., good evening. Attack Alpaca, hello. Who else is here? Kiro Soldier, good evening. Scrolling. Keep that chat scrolling. Mr. X, good evening. Oh my gosh, Derek LaRue. Thank you, Derek LaRue, so much, as always, for your continued support and generosity. Very much appreciated. Hope you're having a good evening, and I hope you enjoy the show. Unfair Ophelia, good evening. Vader35, hello. Anybody else? Full Metal Joker, hello. Keldrig, hello. Simon Willikins, good evening. Pope Tyrannus III, the Blessed Lich. Good evening to you, sir. Angela Ariaga, good evening. Draco Rincewind, hello. And I think that's everybody. If I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, good evening. So tonight, we return to some old stomping grounds. It's been at least, I don't know, a few weeks or a month or something since I tackled a talk specifically about at least what indicates DEI type thinking, because tonight's topic, or tonight's presentation, is called Engineering Equity with Automation. And when I hear equity, I smell DEI. I could be wrong. It could be something completely different, as Monty Python might say, but I have a feeling it's not. If I am wrong, well then my thumbnail makes no sense, and I'll be sure to note that. But if it is what I think it might be, at least as far as implicating DEI, then I'm safe territory. So how do you automate for equity? Well, let's see. What is equity before we begin? Equity is, in the common parlance, the equality of outcome. So arranging things and lowering standards or promoting people artificially to places and so on so that you have a aesthetic equilibrium and parity to show off just how successful you are and how equal you are, and to prove that, you see, if you give those kind of people the right chance, even they can succeed if we engineer it that way, which is totally not condescending and or racist and or sexist, depending on how you look at it. I guess we'll find out. JPS, good evening. Tall person, hello. Anybody else I missed? I don't think so. So anyway, get your bingo card Bs ready. Remember, they're the updated bingo cards. So if you have a bingo card from a previous iteration, it is now out of style. And let me put on some others. I got some other doohickeys and widgets I can turn on here. Let's see. We got my banner. Do I have my banner going? Not Bruce Banner. Where's my... Oh, there's my banners. Banner, go, banner, go. There we go. All right, so this one clocks in at just over 12 minutes. I had to boost the sound quite a bit on this one because it was very quiet. It was hunting wabbit or something. So I don't think I overdid it, but if I did, do let me know and I'll try to ratchet it down just a little bit. So with that, let's start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and we will proceed.
It's April 2024.
No, it is not April 2024. It is, in fact, September of 2025. Or we're going back in time, maybe. I don't know. You guys hear that okay? Let me know in the chat. I hear it, says Advocatus Diaboli. Well, good. I'm glad you hear it. And if Advocatus can hear it, I assume everybody else can too. I could be wrong. But anyway, April of 2024, yes?
And I work in the automation engineering sector.
You work in the automation and engineering sector. Okay, well, by your accent, I'm assuming we're across the pond in the UK, although obviously it could be an import. The automation and engineering sector.
It's one of the rare times that I'm actually working down from our headquarters in St Albans near London.
Ah.
And I'm called into one of those dreaded, can we have a quick word meetings by...
Oh, sorry, I stopped too early there. I have to be careful, as I always do. Last week's TEDx was copyright claimed by TEDx. I think I know why. I don't know what the magic number is for how long I can let something play before I have to pause in order to avoid some kind of like content matching or something, even though the totality of the entire broadcast is transformative and thus should fall within fair use. But I don't really care about monetizing these things anyway, so it's more of an annoyance. All the same, it's kind of irritating when you do that kind of thing. It's like, oh, well, you let it play for more than 22 seconds. So I don't know what the magic number is, so I kind of go like 5 or 6 beats of my heart. or when there's at least, I think, a convenient place to stop in the person's speech. But anyway, I cut him off too early. Let me back up just a little bit.
I'm called into one of those dreaded, can we have a quick word meetings by my line manager.
By your line manager. So when you say you work in the automation and engineering section, are you just, and no shade or anything, but just for clarification, are you just working on literally an assembly line?
I try to reassure myself that everything will be okay, because after all, I've managed to hit a 5-year target in just 1 year. I've managed to quadruple a business in my area in just 12 months.
But I'm not bragging or anything.
And I've had 10 years of consistent success.
Yeah, well, and let me brush a little dirt off my shoulders there.
But unfortunately, I'm not being called in to be congratulated. No, instead, I'm told that my work in diversity, equity, and inclusion is a distraction.
Uh-oh. Your work in diversity, equity, and inclusion is a distraction. Okay, well, he did say all the words, but obviously put into a litany like that, he is talking about the actual DEI philosophy, especially if his employer is complaining about it. I'd love to find out. I can't wait to find out if he tells us what constitutes his work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. But while we do that, let's go over to the bingo card and remind ourselves what we are listening for. These are bingo card B. Links to the cards are in the description. Marginalized marginalization, not yet. Self-vilification or wretchedness, I'd be surprised. Contradicts own point or fails to make argument. Feminism, microaggressions or unconscious bias. And remember, those are concepts that he has to use in some fashion within the presentation, not that he himself possesses them. Privilege, benevolent condescension, possibly so. Weightless example or non sequitur. Plays victim. We might already be there, but let's wait a little bit. Collectivize his own demographic, possible. Economic disparity, deceptive statistics, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. A list, Has to be some sort of official list within the presentation. Mind reading or assumes motives. Patriarchy. Anecdote that probably never happened. DEI philosophy, circling that one, as well as free space. So get your DEI philosophy. That's the new square, or the revised square, I should say. White supremacy. Childhood or family anecdote. Systemic or institutional. Leaves out vital context. Sales pitch for product or service. And lastly, word salad. So far on bingo card B, we have free space, DEI philosophy, maybe a couple of others we're on the edge for, but let's wait and see what he has to say. So your work in diversity, equity, and inclusion has become a distraction. Do tell.
That it's making management uncomfortable. That it's limiting my career progression.
What specifically were you doing? Please, you have to tell us.
And that, quite frankly, I need to stop talking about it.
Uh-huh.
And that's the turning point for me. That's the moment I decide, I'm done. I've finally put up with enough.
You've put up with enough. You worked hard. You did a whole bunch of stuff. Now, you see, I'm mightily curious to know if we could hear his employer's description of his behavior and activities versus his own. But the question is, will he tell us what he was doing, what he was saying during work hours?
I make the decision there and then to leave.
Oh my gosh, stunning and brave.
But not just to leave my company,
Oh,
to leave the entire industry in which I'd spent a decade building my career.
oh my gosh. And obviously the automation and engineering sector completely collapsed without your presence, as we know. It was big news there for about 3 weeks.
I decided it's time that I dedicate myself to something more meaningful.
Okay. So wait. You worked in the automation and engineering sector. You, as you've said, over the course of 1 year, did 5 years worth of goals. I'm assuming actually producing physical, tangible goods or doing something that was quantifiable. And you want to move into something more meaningful. And so, unless you're about to really surprise us, you wanted to move into DEI work of some kind. DEI work is more meaningful than producing physical, tangible results. Got it.
Just a year later, I'm named as one of the UK's top 100 professionals in manufacturing.
Oh, really?
I chair a section of the Royal Academy of Engineering's annual Diversity Inclusion Conference.
Is that something to be proud of?
I'm invited to present keynote speeches and guest lectures at institutions and events up and down the country, and out of over 85,000 nominations, I'm one of just 125 shortlisted for a National Diversity Award.
Oh my gosh, a National Diversity Award. Well, argumentum ad populum. I guess everything you're doing is obviously valuable and good, then.
For being a positive LGBT role model in engineering.
Oh, you're LGBT? Which one?
But I had to leave the industry
Uh-huh.
in order to be recognized by it.
You had to turn yourself into a martyr in order for people that want to prop up martyrs in this realm to recognize you? Oh, okay.
And it's that juxtaposition, being recognized and celebrated by the same industry that pushed me out, that brings me here today.
They didn't push you out. You quit. You see, the more time that passes in this that he doesn't describe exactly what he was doing on the factory floor or whatever, or amongst his coworkers, is the more time I'm suspicious that they were probably justified in telling him to cool it.
Because here's the truth.
Okay.
Yes, I had 10 years of success, but I had that alongside 10 years of discrimination, isolation, and abuse.
Discrimination, isolation, and abuse. Okay, well, we're opening up the door for more details necessary here. So, what were you doing on the factory floor? How were you abused? How were you discriminated against? Do tell.
Like being deliberately segregated by my team due to a disability.
Deliberately segregated by your team. Every statement this guy makes just creates another set of questions. Okay, how were you segregated? What was your disability? How does that make any sense? Admittedly, I am not as familiar with UK law or labor laws as I am with American labor laws. And even then, what I know in an expert sense about American labor laws would probably, fill half a cup. But still, what are you talking about?
And when questioning that, being told that, well, my company shouldn't hire disabled people anyway.
Wait, what? How were you disabled? What are you talking about?
When raising that with HR, being asked what I could have done differently in order not to be discriminated against.
Okay, I'd say what? As though I'm shocked at what HR said, but so far, the absence of details is making me question your credibility. What are you talking about?
Like being told by my manager that I should have fewer rights because of my sexual orientation.
Your manager told you that you should have fewer rights because of your sexual orientation. What?
Unlike being told that my autism diagnosis makes me incompatible with a position in management.
Oh, your autism diagnosis. That's your disability. Okay.
When I reached senior management...
How did you reach senior management? If your orientation and your disability were so, for lack of a better word, debilitating to your career prospects and the respect of your peers in management, however did you reach management in the first place?
Just before I turned 30, I became, to my knowledge, the only black queer person working at that level in my discipline in the country.
Oh my God, you are so special. You did 5 years of work in 1 year. You went on a crusade after quitting your job because you were being so mistreated that you were put into a management position. Okay. Somewhere in there, in the tapestry of stories, there's an anecdote that probably never happened because none of this, how does any of this make any sense? He's completely victim, also playing victim, circling playing victim. So circling playing victim, circling anecdote that probably never happened, and collectivize his own demographic just then because of his specialness, demographically speaking. And I'm also going to circle a list because that was a list of complaints and scenarios in rapid succession. So now we have on the card circled plays victim, collectivizes own demographic, free space, a list, anecdote that probably never happened, and DEI philosophy. And I'm looking really hard. It leaves out vital context because all of this is unexplained sob story so far, and seemingly impossible events to lead to him being in a leadership position if all of that is true.
And so I carried more than just technical responsibility. I carried the burden of being the only one. As I rose through the ranks, I found myself surviving rather than thriving in a system that just wasn't designed for somebody like me.
A system that was not designed for someone like you, and yet you were elevated to a management position. I guess you're just a unique, magical creature. Somehow, how did you ever survive being recognized for your efforts and put into a management position? Adabisi, thank you so much. Listen to a few seconds and want to fire him. Well, see, this is... I can't help because he won't tell us what he was saying or doing on the proverbial factory floor that got him in quote-unquote trouble in the first place. And he was already in senior management, apparently, at the time. Because remember, he quit his position at the proverbial pinnacle of his career at that point. 10 years, where obviously he'd actually done 50 years worth of work, if I go by his math. Where was the injustice again?
But this isn't a story of adversity.
It's not a story of adversity. You spend the first 3 minutes of your 12-minute talk, 1/4 of your presentation, doing nothing but laying yourself out as a victim over and over and over again. How you're the only one who has to carry the burden of being the only one of your kind in your industry, in your position. And it's not a story of adversity. So, why are we here? And also, why all the way at that end of the stage? There's like a whole giant stage to be. There's not even a red circle to like denote your sort of position in most TEDx talks. I'm confused.
It's a set of tools drawn down from my experience in automation to help us build better systems.
So your long list of injustices, complaints, and conspiracy theories are tools to... Okay, Frosted Glass, thank you so much. This is a low testosterone Bond villain monologue. It's like, Mr. Bond, let me tell you about my past. Do you know what a Robinson is? That's not a reference to current events. I just recently listened to my classic copy of the audiobook, No Deals, Mr. Bond, which is, as far as I understand it, one of the few, if not one of the only ones, the Bond novels, where Bond's name appears in the title. Everything else is some kind of abstract. And there's this one part near the end of the book where the supervillain of the novel is getting ready to put Bond through his paces in this death trap he set up. And he goes, Mr. Bond, in your great career, do you know what a Robinson is? And for some reason that stuck with me all of a sudden in talking about Bond villains. It's a great little speech. Great little breakdown of like what James Bond was about to face. Basically, it was the sort of like the boss fight before the very end of the video game. Anyway, I could go on about... I'd much rather talk about No Deals, Mr. Bond than this. But anyway, okay, so it was tools to make better systems. All right, well, if you're going to talk about making better systems, and I know this is a desperate plea, as I've done so many times before, please do describe for us the current systems that are broken that your plan will make better versions of. Because if you're going to say you have better systems in mind, you have to tell us what you're fixing in the first place.
Because inclusion shouldn't be improvised.
Inclusion shouldn't be improvised. Okay, you have to... Oh God, I know. I don't know why I keep asking. You have to give us examples of what you're talking about for us to be able to compare and contrast. What is an example of improvised inclusion that you would want to address with a systemic inclusion?
Inclusion shouldn't be improvised. It should be engineered.
Okay, tell us.
I spent my time in automation designing systems for productivity, efficiency, and safety. And those weren't just buzzwords for us. They were guidelines that we lived by, or worked by at the very least.
If you say so. Okay, I'm going to circle systemic or institutional because he's talking about systems both in the literal mechanical sense, but also in the sort of abstract company social sense, I guess.
If a machine was underperforming, if it was inefficient, or if it was unsafe, then it had to be redesigned.
Is there any possibility that that's what your employer was doing when they took you in to give you the talk? Or were you being inefficient by using some of your time to spout off DEI stuff to your coworkers or complaining about things that nobody else had a problem with? Maybe.
Yet, whilst we're comfortable applying that engineering logic to the machines and the technical assets that we work with, we rarely apply that same thinking to the workplace around us.
Okay, my ears are open. Example, please.
We regularly monitor our technical assets, but we don't monitor the people behind them.
Horse hockey. Absolute and total horse hockey. You don't monitor the people behind them? In a factory setting. Are you kidding me?
Even though they're just as, if not more, critical to business performance.
What? Okay. All right. I'll admit, my experience in manufacturing is itsy bitsy, but I have known more than a few people in that realm. Monitoring your people is important in any business. But who are you? Who were you working for? What company in the manufacturing and automation business was not monitoring its people?
The engineering industry is facing some serious challenges.
Please do tell.
It's grappling with a growing skills gap, it's facing a mental health emergency, and it often has an outdated model of leadership that fails to serve the workforce it hopes to attract.
Okay, a skills gap. Could that be because the academy writ large has been dumbing itself down for the better part of 2 decades? What was the other part? A skills gap? Sorry, let me back up a little bit.
It often has an outdated model of leadership that fails to serve the workforce it hopes.
Outdated model of leadership. Okay, is that because leadership writ large has been vilified over the years? That discipline, setting limits, expecting people to show up on time and behave in a professional manner, it's because that's broken down maybe a little bit? Do you think maybe the philosophy you're pushing is actually the cause of the problems?
Hopes to attract.
Hopes to attract.
Some of you may be familiar with the statistic that the biggest killer of men under the age of 50 in the UK is suicide.
I have heard that statistic, yes. Do you want to have a sidewise conversation about what might be causing that?
What is less well known is that those who work in construction, engineering, manufacturing are more than 3 times as likely to die by suicide than the national average.
Okay. Now that you've thrown those 2 statistics into the ether, what are you looking for out of that? Please do not tell me. Well, actually, no. If you did tell me, I'd be very interested. Is your plan to automate whatever also you think going to reduce those numbers?
On masculinity and engineering research that I lead, we've seen that more than 4 in 5 engineers, 81% in fact, report having some form of emotional or mental health concern.
Masculinity in construction that you... Yeah, I don't know. Could it be because masculinity has been diminished and vilified and criminalized over the last decade or more? You want to at least mention the phrase toxic masculinity as a negative in the realm rather than something to be looked at as something to solve?
Yet less than half of those are comfortable talking about that with their employer.
Because it's got nothing to... What? Why should I have to talk about my mental health with my employer? Hell, I'd be uncomfortable talking about my mental health with my employer. It's irrelevant. What? Why would... Okay.
And a staggering 1 in 4 engineers have considered suicide or self-harm at some point in their career. At
some point in their career? What, because they are in that career, or just because they're human beings? Do you know how many human beings on either side of the gender equation consider, in some form or another, taking their own lives during the course of their career, which could span decades? Like, okay, deceptive statistics, circling that one. What even are we talking about here? So, is whatever you're about to pitch, and granted you're going to pitch something, going to address that problem as well? I mean, on top of everything else you've already talked about and complained about.
This is more than just a well-being issue.
What?
This is a huge business risk.
Okay, so do you have a plan in mind to address mental health in construction and engineering? Is that what this is?
And more than that, it's proof that the system is flawed.
The system is causing the mental health problems in men in construction and engineering. Okay, so you have identified the weak spot, yes? If you understand the current system in place, then you know where in the system these problems arise from. Yes, and you're going to tell us about that now, and then you're going to describe your solution. Yes?
And this comes at a time when it's estimated that the UK has a shortfall of over 173,000 engineers, and that this shortfall is costing the UK economy around £1.5 billion annually.
Oh my gosh, could that be because things that boys are interested in have been demonized for a decade? Oh, you shouldn't go into engineering. That's like too masculine. You should try something more emotional based.
But the issue isn't just that we're failing to attract new talent.
No, wait. Attract new, no, whoa. Stop. Attract new talent is the least of my concerns when you're saying that the system is producing men who want to end themselves. Let's stick to one issue, shall we? I'm getting close. I'm getting close to hitting the button. My tolerance is pretty high these days, but man, if we go off on another side quest in the next 2 minutes, I'm hitting it.
Which we are. An issue that doesn't get talked about enough is that we're hemorrhaging the talent that we already have.
Well, but... Okay, so you need to plug the leak in the boat before you can take on more passengers. Okay, so is your system going to plug the leak in the boat as well as cure the mental health crisis in men, as well as cure all the discrimination that you faced as a singular senior executive in the company that you were in before you decided to quit because somebody said stop proselytizing on the factory floor? We're almost halfway through your talk. Can we get to something about what it is you're proposing be done?
It was reported recently that in just a 12-month period, more than 38,000 women left engineering roles in the UK.
38,000 out of how many? Okay.
That means that the proportion of women in engineering and technical roles is actually decreasing.
I don't care about their gender. Do they have the skills and experience necessary to contribute functionally to the industry? And you know why they left? To have children. I will bet you dollars to donuts that the large majority of those 38,000 women decided, I'm going to go have and raise my children. How are you going to solve for human procreation in your new system?
More proof that the system is flawed.
But that's not proof of anything. Okay. I tried to hold out. I really did.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
It's okay. You have to show that's not proof. That is a data point. You have Good gravy. Where is the flaw? Identify and name the flaws, and tell us how will your not yet even hinted at fix for these flaws fix these flaws.
And for those who stay, they often stay in silence.
Stay in silence? You mean they just come to work and do their jobs?
My own research into the experiences of queer engineers in automation.
Queer engineers in automation. Okay, here's the great equalizer in the universe and life and everything else. Mathematics. What does math care about who you sleep with? What does engineering care about your particular brand of mattress athletics? Please, oh please tell me how. I'd love to know.
Showed that nearly 72% had either experienced or witnessed discrimination in the workplace.
Okay, quantify discrimination. What are you talking about?
These aren't isolated issues.
What? So it's all intersectional?
They are symptoms of a system that was never designed with inclusion in mind.
What do you propose be done?
A system that prioritizes output over well-being.
What do you propose be done?
and tradition over progress.
Okay. Why do I bother asking?
So the question is, why are we designing systems like this?
But you haven't even told us how the current systems are designed to lead to these outcomes. What is the problem, and what is your proposal for fixing it? What?
If we know that they're pushing people away, holding people back, or driving people to burnouts, then why aren't we doing more about it?
I don't know. I don't know. Tell me, oh, tell me true. Why? You must have the answer. You're a decades-long expert in the field. Hell, it wasn't until you quit your job that you found your calling. You must have the answer.
Because when it comes to our machines, we would never accept that level of risk.
It all depends on the company and how disposable your workforce is. I don't know if you've heard about some let's say some lax security and safety measures in some companies in the world. It does happen. But anyway.
When it comes to risk and quality, a traditional method of maintenance is called planned or scheduled maintenance.
Planned or scheduled maintenance, yes,
We inspect and replace parts at regular intervals every 3, 6, 12 months, however regularly the manufacturer recommends, and we do this without a second thought.
Yes. No, guys, I already circled systemic or institutional. I already circled that. It's been circled for a while now. Okay, let me read off the squares again, just so everybody knows. Okay, plays victim, collectivizes own demographic, deceptive statistics, free space, a list, anecdote that probably never happened, DEI philosophy, and systemic or institutional. Those have already been circled. So you can take a breath. It's okay. We've been there. We did that. Let's see. I'm circling leaves out vital context as well, because this late into the game, for him to throw out all these different little stories, all these different little ideas or notions, and not give us a single active example of what he's talking about. I mean, if he has been so victimized by the system, by the industry, and so on, he could tell us one way in which he has experienced unjust treatment. He talks about abuse. He talks about discrimination. He talks about being minimized and marginalized or something. When? How? When did it happen? What do you have? You got something? Your boss took you in to tell you you're being too much of an activist during work hours. And you're like, well, never mind you then. Okay, so going forward.
You'll be familiar with this with car services. You get your car serviced every 12 months, or every X number of miles. But this process is disruptive.
This process is disruptive? The process of ensuring that machines are operating within peak capacity and aren't going to break down? Okay. And I assume then you have a plan for doing something similar for the workers?
It's inefficient. It's expensive.
It's inefficient? Well, what's more inefficient? Doing a regular check of a machine to make sure that everything's in working order, or just letting it sit to go to pot to break down and ruin not only the part that was weak in the first place, but maybe several other parts if it decides to blow up on you, and then you have production shut down entirely, and then you have to replace the entire thing, or you can't find the part at the right time. What are you recommending? That scheduled maintenance be outlawed or something?
It keeps things going, but it involves a lot of downtime, so it's not the most optimal method.
Okay, so now you have a suggestion for a more optimal method of scheduled maintenance?
And it's for this reason that the engineering industry is continuing to move towards condition monitoring and predictive maintenance.
Condition monitoring. Well, isn't that scheduled maintenance? If you have regular inspections of the equipment, is that not condition monitoring? Am I just getting my phrases mixed up here? Is there some kind of inside baseball definition for these things that I'm just unaware of?
And essentially, we've started embedding our systems with sensors monitoring things like pressure, temperature, vibration, so that instead of waiting for failure, we can detect early warning signs.
Oh, okay. So, okay. All right. So that's a good thing, right? Okay. I mean, that can't apply to everything, but all right. And what are you proposing? We embed line workers with heart monitors and Fitbits or something and keep track of all their vitals during the course of the day? What?
We gather real-time data, we analyze trends, and we use predictive algorithms to intervene before a breakdown happens.
Okay, and you want to carry this philosophy over to the people. How?
Now today, predictive maintenance isn't a bonus, it's a baseline. We have it in our factories, we have it in our cars, we even have it in our own homes.
Okay, we're 8 minutes into a 12-minute talk. Get to the point.
Your printers, assuming you can get them to work at all, can tell you when they're running low on ink.
You know, if he had started his talk like 2 minutes ago, it might make more sense. Instead, he front-loaded it with a whole bunch of unrelated nonsense. Okay, so how do you propose to apply monitoring of condition or condition monitoring to the people on the line in some way that's going to cure discrimination, cure self-elimination thoughts, and also deal with the outflow of female workers from the industry? Because these are at least 3 of the probably 7 or 8 problems you've listed, but the only 3 that I can remember right now.
Your cars will tell you when your tire pressure is decreasing.
Yeah, we know. We know. This is common sense stuff. You don't need to give us more than one example for us to understand what the idea. Please.
To your horror. And you can even buy fridges that can order their own food. Whether that's a good idea or not, I'll leave to you. But the point is, these systems are intelligent, they're embedded, and more, they're expected, especially in engineering.
And so
here's the question I keep coming back to.
I can't wait. What is the question you keep coming back to since you haven't answered anything you've posed so far?
If we can design systems like this for machines, why can't we do the same for people?
What are you proposing be done?
In most organizations, in most workplaces, in terms of DEI, scheduled maintenance looks like your typical employee engagement survey.
Yeah. And how productive and useful has that been over the last decade?
We roll them out once a year, we ask broad questions, and we hope to tackle the problems that happen to make it onto the radar.
Would you like to give us an example of what that can look like?
But by then, people have already disengaged. They've burnt out. They've left.
They've left for the day? They've left the job?
So what would it look like if we applied condition monitoring techniques to inclusion?
I don't know! I've been waiting 9 minutes for you to tell us! So there's only 3 minutes left. You tell us! And how are you going to cure self-elimination thoughts in men, retention problems with women, and also discrimination, inclusion, and not being criticized by your boss for being an evangelist on the work floor? I don't know. Tell me.
What if we designed systems that track psychological safety, workload equity, career progression, and cultural climate, not just as a one-off task or a tick-boxing exercise, but as a continuous integrated feedback loop?
What if Dr. Doom was the Sorcerer Supreme? I can play this game all day. What are you proposing be done?
In engineering, making small incremental changes is much easier and much safer than waiting for catastrophic failure, and the same can be said for culture.
Culture? Casino?
If we can build in feedback using our networks, our employee resource groups, micro surveys, or even just regular scheduled conversation, then maybe we won't need to wait for heroic intervention because we can make small course corrections continuously.
Okay, well, I love that you brought up ERGs. I love ERGs, as you all know. But okay, so how... So you want to have, dare I say, courageous conversations, Glenn Singleton, with your employees on a regular basis to really get to know the ins and the outs of their psychology, their mentality, their workload, what they're feeling. Okay, how much time out of the day is that going to cost on a regular basis per employee? How much are you going to be paying the people to be conducting these constant, consistent interviews to monitor people's state of being over the course of time? How will you ensure that the people conducting these things are qualified to be asking these questions? And are you sure that some of these decidedly, at least what it sounds like, invasive personal questions don't themselves end up stepping on or violating existing workplace laws? I know, it's a lot of things to answer, and you've only allowed a couple of minutes left to actually give us any details, but I gotta know.
And as with any good predictive maintenance system, it's not just about knowing when something is going to go wrong, but knowing where and why it's likely to go wrong and designing for that.
Okay, so describe for us even just a back of the napkin process. You have an employee. We have employee X. No, sorry, X. Well, actually, X is fine. That's the neutral chromosome. Okay, you have employee X, and employee X is just standing there, and you are the person who has to make sure that employee X is not going to burn out, that employee X is not going to self-harm, that employee X is not going to decide to go away. So, how would you conduct this inquiry on your average worker? Describe the process. You take them off the line for 30 minutes, half an hour? How regularly do these meetings happen? Are they in group settings or do you do them one-on-one? Something, please.
A good predictive maintenance system doesn't just fix a problem. It builds in early warning, redundancy, and resilience.
Like what?
And the same should be said for inclusion.
I'm having deja vu all over again. What are you talking about?
Are you tracking who gets promoted and who gets stuck mid-career?
Am I tracking who gets promoted and who gets stuck mid-career? Stuck? Okay, I don't know. Am I? Do companies not do this as a matter of course?
Are you looking at patterns and trends and not just individual complaints?
I don't know. Are no companies doing such things? What are you... Okay. Either you've thought this out and you have a plan, a proposal, or you haven't and you don't. It's one or the other. Why are you asking me these questions? You're the expert. You've got the stage. Present.
If we treated inclusion with the same rigor that we do quality control,
You haven't even defined inclusion to begin with, so why are we here?
then maybe we'd stop seeing it as a nice to have and would start seeing it for what it really is, a design challenge.
Okay. And what?
And as with any good infrastructure, it should be designed from the ground up and not just patched in later, and it should be based on data.
The same questions stand.
If you're not monitoring it, how do you know if you're improving it?
I don't know. I don't know. You're not going to tell us, are you?
And if you're not designing for it, then you're designing around it.
Was this the kind of like productive sort of output you were giving before you decided to quit your job and that your employer called you in on? Because I'm starting to empathize with your employer quite a bit.
Do you mean to or not?
Uh-huh.
I want to return tomorrow again. Inclusion should not be a side project, it shouldn't be reactive, and it shouldn't be a kindness. It's a design challenge.
You haven't even defined inclusion. You haven't even defined it. We've got psychological trauma. We have career choices, life choices. We have on-the-job discrimination and abuse that you alluded to but did not define. I don't know. I don't know why I expect better. At this point in my TEDx career, and by the way, guys, I've been doing TEDx now for 9 years. But in TEDx years, that's like 9 years.
And we know how to build systems. We know how to monitor, to modify, to iterate, and to improve because we do this already. Mm-hmm. We do this with our processes, our products, and our systems. So it's about time we started doing it with our people.
Because as we know, no companies, any companies, monitor or keep track of their employees, their careers, their behavior on the floor, whether it's a manufacturing floor or in the cubicles. No companies do this. They don't monitor their health. They don't promote well-being or anything else for the sake of lower, insurance premiums and so on. No companies do this, especially not these days, guys. No. Companies don't care about their employee well-being. Being able to bring your whole self to work, being able to work authentically. Yeah, companies these days, they don't care about your mental health. I mean, he mentioned ERGs. What are ERGs there for? Oh, that's right. They're there for inclusion and diversity. Well, but ERGs obviously aren't an attempt by this kind of thinking to enhance inclusion and diversity thinking, because ERGs don't actually exist, except that they do, and they're part of a process and system.
The irony is that engineering at its core is problem solving. It's all about innovation.
You're right. Could you solve for the problems you've listed here?
We spend our lives designing and optimizing systems, so it's kind of embarrassing that we're so far behind in inclusion.
With the kind of productive speech and points you've made here, I can't imagine why we're so far behind in finding solutions for inclusion.
The workplace I was pushed out of was...
You were not pushed out of the workplace, you quit. You quit. You were criticized for being an evangelist during work hours, and you quit. You weren't pushed out. You were in a senior level position, as you said yourself. You were elevated to senior management. And apparently someone's saying, hey, maybe you should spend more time working and not talking about DEI. That was the straw that broke the camel's back after all of the abuse and discrimination you alluded to but did not describe in the years previous? Okay.
The workplace I was pushed out of was one where difference was seen as a risk.
What do you mean by difference? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Rather than a value. Where leadership was defined narrowly, and inclusion was very often an afterthought, but it doesn't have to be.
You haven't defined inclusion.
To the next generation, I would say this.
Oh my God.
You're entering a workplace that wasn't designed by you and wasn't necessarily designed for you.
No, so just don't even bother joining. Right? Do what you did. Just stop working and go on a glorified complaint tour and get accolades for complaining really well.
But you get to redesign it.
Oh, you do? Really? How do you get to be in a position to redesign it? If it's a system that was not built by you, was not built for you, so obviously you can't advance through it because you won't be allowed to because of the inherent discrimination and prejudice that exists in the system that can't be fixed until you get into a position where you can fix it. So what are you advising people to do? Just go along to get along until they can tear it down from the inside? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that's the strategy.
You get to question what true leadership looks like.
I'm questioning what leadership looks like in this instance for sure.
And you get to rebuild those systems, not just for yourself, but for everybody who comes next, remembering that inclusion shouldn't be improvised, it should be engineered. Thank you.
What an absolute nothing burger. This is an award-winning DEI advocate and speaker for the automation and engineering sector. And yet he brings up a list of problems, a list of concerns that he says are all outgrowths of broken systems within the engineering and automation sector. And not once can he articulate where in the system the flaw exists that led to X outcome or Y outcome. And at no point does he actually articulate a solution for any of these problems. Boy, you know, guys, men's mental health in the UK sure is lousy. If only there was a way to fix that. Oh, you want me to actually address the problem that I brought up in the course of my presentation as though what I was talking about was a possible salve for that particular wound? Oh, well, you're asking too much. How dare you ask so much of me? That's discrimination. That you would expect me to offer some kind of conclusion to the thing that I brought up myself. Okay, I need my piano music. 1 second here. Pardon me. Get all of my windows lined up again. Okay, there we go. 1 second. I'm all over the place. Okay. There we go. Okay, let me turn up the music just a smidge. Just a smidge. Okay. All right, let's move on, if we can, to the bingo card. This is what it looks like right now. I'm going to go over it one more time by myself. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, hold on to them. I'll get to you momentarily. Marginalization, in everything but using the words he talked about and lamented his being left out or segregated away from everybody else because of his disability. His disability being autism, because... Okay. Self-vilification or wretchedness, in no way, shape, or form did he ever put himself in the position of being part of the quote-unquote problem. Contradicts own point, fails to make argument. Boy, howdy. Did he ever? Feminism. The female statistic, the attrition statistic, didn't quite cross the line for me. Just bringing up the female statistic didn't quite do it. Although he did cite it as that's evidence of the problem or something. So I don't know that quite is enough. I needed something else. Well, no, let's see, hold on. Okay, not enough women in positions of authority, and also... see, if he had said toxic masculinity specifically, if he'd gone a bit more deeper on that, then maybe I could combine those two and say he was pushing feminist ideology. I don't know that it quite crosses the line. You guys let me know. Microaggressions or unconscious bias. Yes. He intimated that through his, the harassment, the discrimination he was getting, all the other sort of like sob stories he put out there, that he was being targeted specifically because of all his various identities and so on. Privilege. I don't know. He made victims out of men for their mentality. He made victims out of women because they were leaving the industry. Did he really dwell on any privilege per se? Maybe. Alan Thyler, thank you so much for the How's it going, Dogcat Fox? Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowee! Wow! Wow!
Ooh, there's a drunken uncle, Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good evening. Moving on. Benevolent condescension. Yes. Did you know that process monitoring happens in your printer? You know, it also happens in your car. It can also happen in your refrigerator. That felt like such a time filler. It's like I got nothing else to say, so I'll constantly bring up examples that are as commonplace as dirt these days, just to underline a point that everybody got as soon as I even hinted at what it was. Moving on. Weightless example or non sequitur. Yeah, can I count the ways? His personal stories of discrimination, men's mental health, women leaving the industry, on and on and on. Being queer and working in the engineering sector. What does any of that have to do with anything? Economic disparity. I don't know that he actually ever dwelt on economic disparity. Well, wait, no. He did mention who's getting promoted and who's stuck in their career, but I mean, obviously, you know, economic improvement or, you know, being able to upscale your lifestyle is commingled with your position. I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if it's specific enough to say economic disparity was a point he was making. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Well, I mean, what was it? Engineering for inclusion. He said that several times. Or you can't improvise inclusion. Yeah, there was enough repetition there between those two things that I think that probably counts. That sounds like a coffee table book title. You can't improvise inclusion. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Mind reading or assumes motives. Gosh. I'm sure there's an example in there. I'll leave it to you. Patriarchy. He didn't talk about men in a dominant light per se, but he did talk about how there were, 38% of women and so on. That might just edge into it. And that there's not enough women in the engineering and automation industry. So ipso facto, there are too many men going on. So I think that probably works. White supremacy. Yes, because he talked about how when he achieved the position that he did, he was the only one of his kind, etc. and so forth. And at least by implication, yeah. Boy, oh, have we not hit a bingo yet? No, we haven't. It's all on the edges. Oh, wait, we did. Oh, I'm blind. When I hit weightless example, I apologize, guys. You guys all saw that before me. You're like, hit the bingo card, hit the bingo button. I know. Oh my God, I'm so stupid.
I had a dog, and his name was...
What?
I had a dog, and his name was...
Bingo!
Of course!
I apologize. Okay, I got there eventually. I was just so caught up in trying to decipher this thing, I didn't even notice. Okay, we have our first bingo. Several more on the cusp. Childhood or family anecdote. Surprisingly enough, he never talked about his childhood or his family. Sales pitch for product or service. If he'd named a company, if he'd named a consulting service, he never got around to it. He talked about an industry in the abstract, but he never endorsed a particular product or anything that I recall, so no. And lastly, word salad. The whole thing, the whole talk was a word salad. It was nonsense. It was just, and repetition, and just over and over and over, and we got 2 bingos out.
Bingo! What? Bingo! Yeah! Of course! Bingo. What? Of course!
All right. So that is the card as I have it. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, put them in the chat now. If I do miss your argument, please just repost it. If you say scroll up, I am going to actively ignore you. That's what I do, because I'm mean. I'm gonna make you hit those couple of buttons to copy and paste. That's right. Frosted Glass, self-vilification. He sounded like a lame Bond villain. No. No, see, even a lame Bond villain would have a point. He would, like, describe in detail what's going to happen to James Bond. Even if it was something, completely Rube Goldberg inspired or something, he would, like, articulate in minute detail to Mr. Bond. It's like, Mr. Bond, do you see this goat? This goat is going to run as soon as I snap my fingers. And then, when I yell at it, it's going to freeze and fall over. And when it falls over, it will hit the pressure pad. And that pressure pad, Mr. Bond, activates the chatterbox. And the chatterbox is going to walk across it just... Even a lame Bond villain would make it interesting. Even for a moment. Let's see. I'm out of lies. Last time we told you to scroll up, you did it. Well, I'm not going to do it this time just to spite you, Amada. Advocates Diabli. Sales pitch for new place to do all my manufacturing that is not in England. Yeah. Oh, man. That's a specific goat. Exactly. See, it's a very specific goat. That is a fainting goat. You see, and the Bond villain brought it in special just for the Rube Goldberg device that's going to mess with James Bond. And it's all in service of cutting a single rope so that James Bond falls into a pit of electric eels. It has to go through 17 different steps before the rope is cut. And the rope is going to be cut by a candle that is eventually lit and then burns through the rope after 17 steps of nonsense to get there. Basically, my lame Bond villain hired the band OK Go to design his death trap. There you go. Let's see. Any other arguments, guys? We're all talking about Bond villains now. Which is fine by me. If we want to do an impromptu straw poll and who is the best Bond villain, in the films at least, because, the novels are more complicated. You got a favorite Bond villain in the films. Who would mine be? Oh, man. I mean, it's hard to beat Goldfinger. It's hard to beat Goldfinger. Goldfinger's pretty much top of the pops in a lot of ways. Although Scaramanga had some charm. Christopher Lee brought a lot to that. Anyway, Advocates, on a serious note, though, mind reading in the sense that he doesn't think places already do all these things. He is not good at reading minds. I'd say that's more like falls within benevolent condescension or leaves out vital context. I don't know that quite goes into mind reading. I'm sure there's a good example in there somewhere of what he was talking about. But I don't think that would be it. Hoot Owl, privilege. He assumes authority to throw out the burdens of leading your employees, besmirches the role of management to abuse his false approach as engineering. I mean, he obviously has leadership issues, as in probably issues with authority. Is that privilege, though? Assumes authority to throw out the burden. Okay, so you're looking at it as he is positioning himself as having the privilege to dismiss traditional leadership because obviously it doesn't work because he was offended at some point. Am I deciphering it correctly? Let me know. Is there an animation for Bond? Hey, Bond, James Bond Jr. Do. You never saw James Bond Jr.? Come on, James Bond Jr. Look it up. I bet the episodes are on YouTube or something. Hoot Owl gives me a detective. I don't know if that answers my question. Okay, Frosted Glass. Minor assumes he assumes the companies are losing women because of no DEI. Oh, and just not leaving. Oh, okay. Yes. Excellent. Okay, good one. Yes. Yeah, he assumes the motivations of the women leaving is obviously because they're being discriminated against or not included. So, okay, very good. That one I will buy, if not for $1, then for the sake of the bingo.
Oh, won't somebody please?
Bingo. B-I-N-G-O.
Okay!
Right?
All right, another bingo. Oh my gosh. All right. Hoot Owl. Did I get your argument for privilege correct? I just need a high sign or otherwise. Oh, I should have seen that one coming. How did I miss that? Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to DEI. Very good. Thank you. Keeverdam's got to go. Bye, Keeverdam. Everybody say bye to Keeverdam. Bye. Have a good day. Get some sleep. Or go to work at your manufacturing job. Apparently Keeverdam just got a manufacturing job. Simon Wilkins, if your favorite Bond villain is Odd Job, then you might like Robert E.O. Speedwagon from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay. I'll take your word for it. Must be the scroll speed. Answered yes. Okay. So that he assumes the privilege of being able to reject traditional leadership styles because reasons. That is a novel argument for the privilege square, because usually it's a matter of having an example of someone bringing up privilege or intimating to privilege, but you're banking on the speaker's sort of arrogance to criticize. And here's the thing, he didn't even criticize it that well, because he didn't even give us an example of like a bad leadership habit or something that he would fix with his obviously better system. Okay, for novelty's sake, I'm going to give it to you. Because that is a novel way to approach it. I have to be careful about doing novel approvals of things, because that sets precedent. So, but yeah, in this case, I that's a good argument. I like that one. It might be subject specific, but I'll give it to you.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
All right, another bingo. Any other arguments for squares to be circled, guys? Scribe like feminism. He knows they're leaving to have kids, and that needs to be stopped, and feminism is how you do it. I needed... Okay, there's only so much extra, filling in the blanks that I can do without feeling like I'm kind of making it up. I needed something else for him to have said that crosses into actual feminist theory stuff. I know I'm being a little bit of a stickler here, but I gotta challenge you a little bit. Did you hit the button for the second bingo yet, Scribe? Did I miss another bingo? We got one. We got one down the middle. We got one diagonal. We got two across. Did I not already hit the button 4 times? I thought I had. I thought I did. If I missed, let's see. Wait a second. I did that bingo. Did that bingo. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Right? Yes. Yeah, so we got one down the middle, 1, 2 across, that's 3, diagonal, that's 4, 5 bingos. Am I just, one on down the side, right? Okay, I did hit it right? Yeah. So wait, I know I played this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I've hit all. I have only 5 bingo stingers, and I've hit each one at least once so far. So yes, I have accounted for all 5 bingos. Yes, I have. Okay. Because I know at this point I'll be repeating bingo stingers if I do it again. All right. Any more arguments, guys? Advocates Table 8. Well, just complaining that women are leaving en masse seems like a feminist complaint to begin with. I mean, yeah. I'm just making sure. That's all. You know, okay. Let's think about this. Okay, so between bringing up the male self-elimination statistic, and pardon my goofy language because I don't know what YouTube does to you if you say the wrong words these days. Well, I do know what they do to you. They demonetize you or make your stream age restricted or something. So in combination with that, and talking about male psychological health. And then talking about women not being in positions or leaving, and that's evidence of a problem. Okay, all right. It just ekes over the line without being a direct reference. Just. Okay, there was enough there to suggest. Okay. So feminism is circled. Any other arguments for squares to be circled? And I'm only taking serious contenders now. So, let's see. Hoot Owl, is there a distinction between promoting feminism in the presentation versus being a display of feminism values? That's the conundrum sometimes. It's a question of, okay, did they actually say the word and bring up the subject, or can you derive that from what they're saying? And that's kind of the stumbling block we had in this case. Is like, okay, did he say enough? Did he, in the aggregate, did he suggest enough things that could be considered feminist theory or feminism in some way, shape, or form? And just by a hair, I'd say, because the things that he brought up and, sort of the negative space of the things where he was suggesting and throwing things out, it's enough to constitute a little block of feminist theory or feminist argumentation. So that's why I give that. That's why the bingo card is important. Sometimes these squares are difficult to get me to want to circle because you really have to make the argument. You really have to bring up stuff that was in the presentation that constitutes a circle. That's the problem, or the challenge, as it were. Any other arguments, guys? I mean, that's a fairly full card, all things considered, for that one talk. That one talk that told us absolutely nothing. I've said it before. If you are an industry professional in something, if you can say that you've been doing something or been involved in some aspect of life or career for a decade or more or whatever, or even just a few years, and you're really good at it, and this guy started off his whole talk telling us just how much of a successful, productive expert he was. If you're given a stage for 12 minutes and you have to make an argument or a presentation that deals explicitly and intimately with the industry that you are an expert in, and you cannot generate even just extemporaneously an informative argument about it, what are you doing here? Where is this expertise? I mean, he tried to make metaphors between, we have printers that can monitor how much ink they have. Okay, and then carry that metaphor over into what you would do for your average employee. How difficult is that? Imagine his talk started out like that. It's like, not if he'd said, not enough companies keep track of the well-being of their employees in the same way that we do home appliances. Our printers can tell us when their ink levels are low. What mechanism do employers have to tell when their employees are close to burnout? That'd be a great sort of introductory query. It's like, I don't know. And then go into it. It's like, sort of like when your ink is running low, sometimes your energy, your mental capacity for dealing with stress is running too high or too low, depending on how you look at it. So what would we do? Well, here's some suggestions. From my decades-long experience in engineering and working with engineers and people on automation and people on the floor and people in management, this is what I would suggest be done. You wouldn't need 6 minutes just to almost start to sort of get to a point. You could just start it off like that. Inefficient, dare I say, automated presentation. Anyway. All right, last call. Advocatus Diaboli, self-vilification, that he only ever succeeded after he left his employer must have made him feel wretched. No. He has to paint himself in some way, shape, or form as either a doer of bad deeds or part of the problem that he is proposing be solved. No. He left his job because he was too much part of the solution, and the system couldn't take it. So no, that doesn't quite, but nice try. Last call. I'll take another round then. Yes? And if there was anyone to tell us about last rounds, it would be the Vodka Genie. Amada the Vodka Genie. All right. Shouldn't we bring back speakers shouldn't be in current position? Well, that was just way too subjective. Because my invisible, completely non-super-powered talent of finding TEDx talks where somebody's on a stage that sounds like they don't know what they're talking about is just too good. You could do that for every talk, and it'd be a ringer. And the only ringer on the card, actually there is no ringer on the card because I don't circle free space until I get at least one other square circled. So there is no ringer on the card. And I don't want any ringers on the card. I don't want any easy outs on the bingo card. I want you to have to work for them, or for the presenter to make it easy for us. Anyway, everybody, that is going to call it for this show. Some programming notes. Tomorrow, I will be on the Midnight's Edge in the Morning panel at 9:05 a.m. Pacific Time, noon 05 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk about movies and entertainment, and I'm pretty sure Jimmy Kimmel will come up in the course of things. So look out for me there. It will, and this is kind of a sad deal overall, it will likely be my last appearance on that show, on that panel, for the foreseeable future. As of next Monday, Midnight's Edge in the Morning is moving 2 hours backwards in time to start at 7:05 a.m. Pacific Time, 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time, or 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Now it's moved its way all the way back into the a.m., which puts, unfortunately, me smack dab in the middle of my morning work obligations, so I won't be able to attend Midnight's Edge. If I can, it'll be a late arrival, once in a blue moon. But not to worry. I have been invited to be part of a secret project for Midnight's Edge. I can't talk about it right now. You'll know it when you see it, and I'll let you know. But I have been invited to be part of a secret project. And if you guys are fans of Midnight's Edge, then I'll bet you'll be fans of what I've been invited to work on. So wait for that. Also, Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, will be Dog, Cat, Fox, and Friend, where after a little bit of a hiatus, I will go over news stories over the week that I found interesting that didn't necessarily make the big headlines. And boy, oh boy, there have been plenty of big headlines over the last week. So I think I might focus on some more lighthearted fare to try to take a little bit of the edge off of all the grimness and seriousness elsewise in our world lately. But with that, if you haven't already, please do leave a like and or a share or subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you were over on the X machine, please just retweet out the stream. At least let the people know I exist. Beyond that, I have a merch store. Keeverdam's not here to shill my merch store, but I have a merch store. There's a link below if you'd like a Pepperjack t-shirt or a Moonbase t-shirt or a TEDXcellence mug with my little face on it. I actually have my TEDXcellence mug right over here. I had Coco in it earlier. But all that self-shilling and whoring around going on. Anything else I want to show? Oh yeah, over on Price of Reason's channel right about now, if not already, probably doing another episode of Quantum Leap Retrospective. If you're a fan of the Quantum Leap series from the 80s and early 90s, I think, he does episode-by-episode reviews of Quantum Leap over on Price of Reason's channel. Okay, that's enough shilling. Everybody, thank you for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well-behaved, you have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or to the link at the top of the chat box to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Oh, yeah, I have a Discord server. There's a link to the Discord server in the chat right now. If you'd like to join the Discord server, click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you actually watch the stream, are not a bot, and thus are in the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is efficiency, of which we witness none, but we can always hope for. Just say hello, efficiency, and I'll know that you watch the show. Everyone, have a good rest of your Thursday. Hope your Friday treats you well. Hope you have a good weekend. And I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.